This is ruined. This is absolutely ruined.
I made this when I was like 12. There's a chance that this is going to go horribly wrong and that this will look awful. So I decided that I am going to embrace my inner nerd. I love Star Wars. So I found this in the attic the other day, and I remembered when I was a little 12-year-old that I loved Star Wars so much, and I didn't just love Star Wars, I loved how they made it. So I would spend hours watching like the behind the scenes on Star Wars.
And by remembering those motions, the computer allows for more complex and visually dynamic photography.
At the time, they had just developed the motion control systems that we use all the time now. So when Star Wars came out, this technology was brand new. No one had ever seen anything like it before. It was incredible, and they all thought it was like super hyper realistic and stuff. And it actually holds up today. It actually looks really good. So it got me thinking, why don't I take a model just like they did and film it the way they did, except use a green screen because we have computers now and I don't have a film camera with a blue screen and I can't optically print everything the way they used to. So what I want to do is not try to make this look as realistic as possible. What I want to do is make this look as much like the original Star Wars as possible. I want to copy that. I want it to look like that. I want to see if I can do the work for just like a few seconds. This is 2019. I should be able to do this. If I can't do this in 2019, mimic something they did in 1977, who am I? Come on. I haven't been able to think about anything else for days. This has just been consuming my brain. This is going to look like the real deal when I'm done with it. So the camera we're gonna use is the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera 4K, which actually rocks. Look at this, it's teeny. Also, what's special about this camera is it can do as low as 5 frames a second. So the reason why we need that is because the slider actually moves kind of slow, and a ship going by moves super, super fast. And what we need is the correct motion blur. The motion blur is very important, otherwise things look fake. So we're gonna keep the shutter angle at 180 degrees. We're gonna keep this at 5 frames a second, and it's gonna be going on the slider like this. But when we play it back at 24 frames, it's gonna be super fast, but the motion blur is gonna be right where we want it. Natural motion blur. And I'm pretty sure this is exactly how they did it on the original Star Wars, because I've seen the cameras moving very, very slowly. Another reason why we're shooting at 5 frames per second is because I want my iris to be at 22, as small as possible, because I figure that a camera that's filming one of these things, the sensor compared to this should be like microscopic. If I was to shoot wide open at 2.8 on this thing, it would go out of focus as it moved, and then it would look small. It would look like a toy, which it is, but I don't want it to look like a toy. When we're moving the camera, I always want to be as wide as I can because it exaggerates that movement. This is the Laowa. This is the Laowa 12mm lens. And let me tell you, 12 millimeters is actually pretty dang wide. And I really want to get as wide as I can because it'll make this thing look bigger and more impressive, I think. I'll try to get the right angle so we can hide this paper on the top because I lost the top of this thing. Okay, 5 frames a second. We were going to use the electronics on this thing, but we're just letting gravity do the work, and it's much more simple. My favorite light recently, it's down here. We're using the 300D to light this. That front element is small like the sun. And I'm thinking if I point it at the model, it will mimic the harshness of a sunlight. And I noticed in the original Star Wars, the light was very harsh in space because it's just space with the sun. So I think that'll look good. Just really quick, the 300D is right now my favorite light. That will change because my favorite lights are always changing. But for a long time now, Aputure's been my favorite. Their lights are the best. And I'm not getting paid to say that. I say that willingly because they rock.
Aputure is the best.
This is a small screwdriver, and I'm poking holes in this. This is gonna be the stars in the background. And I think this is how they did it in the original Star Wars, except they didn't use this. They painted a piece of glass and scratched away the stars and shone a light through it to make them look bright. Finally, the grand presentation of all of our work. Here is the 3.5 seconds of finished footage. This took longer than we expected. Under the circumstances, I think we did pretty good. I think these shots look okay. The track we used wasn't nearly long enough. It was only 6 feet long. What we ended up doing is scaling the footage as the ship got further away from us, down to make it seem like it was getting further away. Poking holes in that black piece of foam core actually worked. We took photos of it and lined them up in Photoshop, and that's what we used for the stars. That's it. I've got to tell you, these guys from ILM in the 70s really knew what they were doing. I just bought this kit from a craft store, but they had to design it. They had to make these from scratch. It's incredible what they did. I've just got to say, respect. Star Wars is what got me into filmmaking in the first place, and I love it. This is why we love filmmaking, creating something that never existed before. That's the fun of it. Let us know what you would have done differently. Maybe you see the shots and you think they could have been better. Let us know what we did wrong.